Hi, welcome to the pilot episode of Promptly Speaking, IBPAP's first ever podcast. In this episode, I'll be interviewing Ambe Tierro, the Country Managing Director and Technology Lead of Accenture in the Philippines. My name is Jack Madrid, your host, and Promptly Speaking is a podcast that interviews the movers and shakers of the Philippines' dynamic IT-BPM industry. Welcome again. I would like to welcome our audience to the pilot episode of IBPAP's new podcast, Promptly Speaking. Today's guest is Miss Ambe Tierro. She is the Country Managing Director and Technology Lead of Accenture in the Philippines. It's good to have you in the show, Ambe.
Hi, Jack. Thanks for having me. And I'm very honored to be in your first episode.
Very much look forward to our conversation. Just to start things off, Ambe, I'm sure our audience is very interested in knowing a little bit how you got started on your journey in technology. So if you could just share, how did you, what was your journey like, and how did you, towards being the country lead of Accenture in the Philippines?
Well, it's been 3 decades of journey with Accenture, and I would characterize that journey as constant reinvention. But I started as a programmer at the entry level. So I graduated from LaSalle. I took up computer science, and it was just fitting that I looked for a technical job. No? So at SGV, which was the origin of Accenture, I started at the entry level, a programmer. We were called technical staff 1. And the joke was that's TS1, no? TS1. It's been years of continuing to expand my responsibility and the trust that my mentors have for me. And so I began to take on more and more roles. I was assigned in the US and in the UK, working for Accenture. And then eventually in 2003, I became the technology lead. And then last year, I was appointed as the country managing director. So I think I'm a living testament that at Accenture, everyone can have the opportunity to move up to the highest position in the country. And I have 2 things that I attribute that. One is mentorship. I benefited a lot from mentoring. I remember one of the experiences that shaped me when I was starting was my supervisor. So I was supposed to get into this conference call, and I was very nervous. I was supposed to present my work to a client, and my supervisor said, "Ambe, you got this. You can do it." And so I did. And so that's why all my career, Jack, I've always believed in mentoring, recognizing people, and encouraging people, because that's how I gained my confidence to talk to clients and to take on these big roles. And then on a personal note, I am a mother. I've been married for 27 years. I'm a mother to 3 children. And so the other experience that I want to talk about is also having a voice. No? So during my younger years, I would be traveling to these conferences, and I would find myself as the only woman in a room of men and foreigners. And at the time, I was very shy. I would not speak, and I had young children. And so in my mind, why are you traveling all this way and not speak, not open your mouth, and leave your children? So why go at all? So I really mustered up the courage to find my voice, because otherwise I should not leave home. And
Well-
so I think those are the, two very simple experiences, but really shaped me into, like, I guess what people see now, more confident and keen to take on this big responsibilities.
Thank you for sharing your wonderful journey. Ambe, that was quite a lot that you went through, especially in the early years, especially in the field of technology, being a woman. I mean, we're talking of almost 3 decades. So I guess my next question would be, how do you balance such a demanding leadership role with, your the demands of your personal life? I mean, you described that, the progression, the needs of your children changes over the years. How do you juggle all of that?
Yeah, I have a story about that, but I guess the simple answer is work-life balance starts with a decision. And the story is, when I had my eldest, when I was pregnant with my eldest, and before that, I really wanted to have kids. So that's part of my dream, to to raise a family and have children. And I had a very difficult pregnancy with my eldest. First of all, it took time before I got pregnant, and then when I finally had him, it was difficult, and I had to go on bed rest. So for several months. And I started, when I stayed at home, I was bored out of my mind. I realized that I could not stay home. And so when I finally gave birth, and thankfully he was healthy, I had a talk with my husband, and I said, I want to go back to work, because I could not stay home. I thought I would have this realization that, I want to stay home with my child and have, be a full-time mother. I did not have that. So a couple of things that I learned about myself was, it's important for women to know what they want, because you cannot be a happy mother if you're not a happy person first. So I went back, and you know what my husband said? It's your decision. So I've been managing that decision for 24 years, because my eldest is 24 years old. So that's why my short answer is, it's a decision that we make, and it's not always easy because you have to choose. But I have 3 sons, like I said, and so far
Indeed,
so
that's
good.
such a powerful lesson that you just shared, Beth. You made that decision. You were very confident in that decision. And I can only imagine the environment at that time,
Yeah.
when most others may have taken the easier
Mm.
path, given the demands of parenting. So very important lesson that you've shared to others who might be going through the same. So many, and I can understand why many look up to you as a role model. Is there a particular individual or role model that you yourself have been influenced by, or maybe your leadership style in your progression as country head?
Sure. So personally, my role model is my mother. So my mom is a working mom. So I guess that's, I've always grown up in a household where both parents were working, and so maybe that shaped me. Like, I expected that. I expected to work, to contribute to the family income. And my mother was, she had her own business. She was not a college graduate, no. So she was very smart, street smart. So so she was my role model in terms of, courage and taking on risks. So that was my first. And at work, I would like to say, all my mentors, men and women, I'm a product of, or a summation of everything I learned from them. because I don't think there's one person that I emulated. It's like I took the best and the worst of my mentors, and I tried to learn, and I would say, and because of their stewardship, part of what drives me is to not disappoint them. I want them like to say, "Oh, I'm proud that Ambe used to work for me." So you know what I mean? Like, so every time I see them, I run into them. Oh, they're proud of me. So I keep doing well.
That's very inspiring, Ambe. I can only imagine the day you told your parents that you wanted to major in computer science. I mean, how did that go?
Well, I think I'm fortunate that my parents let me decide. Maybe I was a responsible child, so they let me decide what I wanted to do. But you know, Jack, I'm very grateful that they gave me the opportunity. So we were not rich, no. So I'm sure it took sacrifices for them to send me to LaSalle. So I will always be grateful for the opportunity to get that education. And so my father used to say, I only have two things I can give you. One is a good name, and number two is your education. And so I always preserve our name, and I've always used my education to to do good things.
That's a beautiful story, Ambe. Thank you for sharing that. Indeed, such a supportive home environment, and the blessings of having such supportive parents
Yes.
served as a very strong foundation for you
And I
your
guess,
career
Jack,
journey.
if I may add, my education in LaSalle. So I took up computer science because honestly, at the start, I was good in math. Maybe that was a good thing to do. But one story that happened in LaSalle, you're asked to work on machine projects, no? So like actual problems. And in the 80s, late 80s, my project was the post office. I don't know if our audience would know what the post office is, but so I went there, I observed what people did, and I realized no wonder mail always got lost because they're doing things very manually. They were sorting these envelopes in boxes, and I felt like that, like you spend your whole day doing that, and I said I'm sure we can do it better. And so my idea was to use OCR, optical card readers, to sort the mail automatically. And so I fell in love with technology because I said we can use tech to make things better, to make people's jobs better, and to receive mail faster. And so that I got hooked. I felt like, if I'm good at this, if I keep learning, we can do other things with tech.
Wow, that's a fascinating anecdote on how you got hooked
Yeah.
at such an early age into technology. But then again, let's rewind. You were very young. This was in the 90s or
Yes. Well, 80s.
earlier.
Late 80s.
And here we have a computer science girl, right? Who was I'll say it, was a geek. How was that? How did you cope with that? Were you, did your friends give you a hard time?
So, during my time, maybe in school in the late 80s, you were not conscious about men, women, or women being few. It was only when I entered the workforce when I realized, oh, there were only a few of us. And like I mentioned earlier, when I started to go in these global conferences, I was very self-conscious because I'm the only woman, I'm the only Filipina, the only Asian. And so in my mind, I was thinking if I ask a stupid question, everyone will remember me. But I kind of turned things around in my head. I said, if I ask a brilliant question, they will also remember me. And so I made that work for myself. I made it. I prepared so that I ask brilliant questions rather than dumb ones. So I think it's all about preparation, and with women, I think it's the voice in our head, that holds us back more than other people. So yeah, so I kind of use my being a woman, by being a minority, to stand out rather than to feel left out.
And I guess these early experiences really helped you progress.
Yep.
You were describing earlier your early years in Accenture,
Yes.
and being a minority, maybe breaking some barriers or some perceptions of women are not supposed to be in technology, and you were one of the very few.
Yes.
So, but again, you answered the question: being prepared,
And
asking brilliant
continuing to
questions.
learn is very important. Up to now, I learn something new, because when you want to be in this industry, in our industry, things always change, right? Things are very dynamic. When you and I started, the industry was different. And so if I if I told myself I know everything uh, there is about IT or tech, then I would be a dinosaur now, because everything has changed. And so I think this love of learning is very important, not just in our industry, but in every industry. And AI, I talked about OCR. AI has been around, which explains my passion for tech and AI. My thesis in college was natural language interface.
We'll talk about AI,
Okay.
shortly, but something you mentioned earlier, which is I think important for the audience to understand more, is this ambition of yours and need to reinvent yourself. Where did that come from? What inspired you to have this to have this very strong ambition of reinvention?
Well, partly I think it comes from, I want to continue to move up and have more responsibilities. So this is very different from promotion. Okay. So I tell people, don't seek promotion, seek responsibility. Because when you have more responsibilities, it's almost always a promotion anyway. But I like responsibility. I like being responsible. I guess that's what drives me. And so I always thought for, big and beer, I want to be responsible for that. I would raise my hand for initiatives, and so I think part of it is DNA. And as I was growing up in Accenture, I mean, it's a global company. I also wanted to step up for the Filipino talent. Like as I was getting exposed to more global clients, I wanted them to see that, yes, we have talent in the Philippines also. So I felt, I could be an example of what they can experience if they work with the Filipinos. So I guess the purpose became a little bit bigger than myself.
Fantastic. It's been almost a year, Ambe, since you assumed the country management role for Accenture in the Philippines. What have been the more unexpected, I guess, experiences so far in your first year? Were there any?
The word that I would use is pride. I've always, I've grown up in Accenture, but always in the technology side, right? I guess it's different when you take on the country manager hat and become the face of
You become
Accenture
the
in the
face.
industry and represent Accenture. So I have to learn more about the other parts of our business, our corporate functions. And the word that I would use is I'm so proud of just what the people are doing. Because everything works because people are passionate about what they do. And, like our commitment to persons with disabilities. So we have the accessibility center. No one told people they should do that, but it's just, I guess, uh, out of their willingness or desire to create opportunities. So we had the accessibility center, which is now, there's now 30 facilities. The idea started in the Philippines. So very proud. And then we also do so much with sustainability. So I learned about all of these while just, in the country managing director hat. I also learned about the way we manage business resilience, because I only saw part of that as the tech lead. Now I talk about it with our clients, how we're keeping our people safe, we're keeping our facilities safe. Yeah, so just so proud about what our people are doing. And just last night we had our recognition night, our annual awards evening, and our people look forward to that. They dress up and they receive their award. And the ultimate award is, we call Maharlika. And the awardee will make a speech, and almost every awardee would come from a humble beginning, and they would talk about how Accenture has helped their family. So part of that drives me in terms of creating these opportunities.
The IT-BPM industry in our country is it's really the culmination of many such success stories, on the bedrock of Filipino talent, and your story and the stories of your employees are examples of this. And, in the beginning, I remember we didn't know what would happen to the industry. And today we are 1.7 million in the workforce, a very major contributor to our economy, and a pathway to our country's middle class. And so, I guess my question is how do you see the road ahead for IT-BPM? What are the opportunities and what are the challenges? You mentioned AI earlier on, and maybe is that a threat that some people think, or is that also an opportunity?
I guess it depends on how you view it. It could be a threat and an opportunity. Where I stand, it's an opportunity for us, but we have to evolve, right? Because I think what AI and generative AI in particular presents to us and to the industry is this opportunity to reimagine how we deliver our services, and really also enrich the experience of not just our clients, but also our employees, the people that work in this industry. Because if you use the technology in a good way, you can transform how we deliver these services, more faster, more efficient. And so if we can embrace it and apply it well, it's a big opportunity to create different roles, add more value to the clients of our industry. I continue to be optimistic. As you said, Jack, I think our industry is amazing. We've done so much for Filipinos and the economy and the country. And so I think it's up to us not to take it to the next level, and hopefully transform the jobs that we generate in our industry and add more value.
Do you have any specific recommendations, Ambe, to our, to the younger employees of our industry, on their road ahead for their, I guess, digital transformation? I'd like our industry to be perceived as a long-term career path. Some people don't quite view it that way, but do you have any advice for for our industry workforce at this time?
Well, I think I'm an example where it could be a long-term career. So maybe three things. One is be curious. And by that, I mean like really learn. So if you hear AI, Gen AI, prompt engineering, what is that? So be curious. Don't set it aside. Just learn what it is. And nowadays, there's so many available courses online, free. And our companies in IBPAP, Jack, provide so much learning opportunities to our people. So be curious. Just absorb all of these and learn as much as you can. Take the opportunity. Number two is be bold. I think we need to dream more. And like what you were asking me earlier about, ambition. It's not sometimes it's for yourself. It's okay. Especially if you're younger, it's about, yourself and improving your life condition, your lifestyle. But at a certain point, it has to be about something bigger beyond yourself. And so I think, like what happened to me, so about stepping up for Filipino talent and making sure we're known in the global stage. So be bold, always have a dream. And then I guess the third thing is be compassionate. I think what the pandemic has taught us is we're all connected globally. Like what happens to one person or one country will affect others. And so being global, having that global mindset, I think is very important. And being compassionate, I think is the key to that. Like seeing perspectives from other people, seeing things from other people's perspective, and I think it applies to using technology because we also talk about responsible AI. Because tech is tech, no? And people can do bad things with it. It's like fire, no? So that's the analogy that I use. Like fire, when it was discovered, did wonderful things. It cooked food. It just generated the industry, the revolution. But it also can burn stuff, right? It can cause disasters. But we control it. We control fire. So it's like
that's such
AI.
a powerful analogy that you just made.
And you don't prevent fire, right? Like you don't prevent fire. So that's I think how we need to think about tech, and it's AI today. There will be others. There will be others. And so I believe that we can learn it. And if we have the right ethical guidance, then we can use it for good.
Thank you for sharing those, very intense and personal lessons a bit. Be bold, be curious, and have compassion. So that's something for all of us to, especially in this this era of the world and time that we now live in. These are really very powerful reminders. Now, on a lighter note, Ambe, I'm sure our audience is also curious. We know you work very hard, but what do you do when you're not working?
I run. That's my exercise.
So
and
you
also,
run every day?
I try to run every day, but nowadays 3 to 4 times a week is my average. It's my exercise, and it also clears my mind.
Do you run in the morning or after?
Morning is my preference. Morning at the start of the day. And, last October, I just did the Camino de Santiago. So I like challenging myself physically.
Were you a big group or?
It's a small, it's just my husband and I. We joined a group, and then it's amazing because it's like 115 kilometers in 5 days. And now I said, okay, if I can do that, maybe I can do a marathon. So I don't know. Maybe so.
I'm sure you can.
Well, let's see. It's hard, but it's always good to have a challenge that you can conquer, whether it's physical or intellectual. So that's my next plan.
Well, thank you for sharing that. There's actually one question that I forgot to ask you, and I'm sure our industry's workforce probably wants to hear your thoughts on the future of work that we now have been living in for some time. And we all talk about the importance of work flexibility. What are your own thoughts moving forward? I mean, this is still a topic that people love to talk about, and I know it's still evolving. So what are your present thoughts on work?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, I just heard a CEO talk about, how after the Spanish flu, the contribution, the world changed because universal healthcare was invented. And he said with COVID, the contribution after COVID is hybrid work. And I completely agree. That resonated with me because I don't think this is going away. And like all of us, I think we realize how productive we can be working from home. We have the technology, but we also realize how important human connections are. And so I think the future will be hybrid, where people can strike the balance. I don't think it will be completely work from home, because, like I said, like bumping into the elevator with Jack or Ambe and just getting inspired by other people is super important. No? Maybe for more experienced professionals, they don't need mentoring, but the young people do. And so we owe it to ourselves to show up and inspire them and teach them and encourage them. And so I think future will be hybrid, so that we can all benefit from more personal time and more efficiency, but also showing up so that we can build that culture of stewardship.
I'm a big believer too, Ambe, in forging relationships, and somehow a big part of that has to be physical presence. And I'm a little bit old school in that sense. So but I completely agree with what you said.
I don't think it's old school, Jack, because we're social animal, right? Like we learn and we get cues from each other when we are in person rather than virtually. And I think our young people will realize
I
that.
personally get a lot of energy from other people who have energy.
Yes,
I was just reminded again, just going back a little bit to AI. I mean, how do you use AI in your own personal life? Do you use it?
Yeah, I do. Well, we probably don't realize it, but we use it in our phones. Our phones have voice recognition, your facial recognition. Those are all AI. At work, we are, I would say, intentionally piloting and experimenting with AI more and more. Like I said, our clients are looking for it. So there are many use cases. So just a month ago, we did a series of hackathons in Accenture, and we have so many use cases of how we can apply AI. So fascinating. And we even, it's not just the tech people, it was also our corporate functions, HR, finance, and workplace services. And it was fascinating because there were more use cases there. And so I encourage our people to continue beyond the hackathons to find problems to solve with technology. And I think that's how you encourage people to embrace this, because it's something that will improve how they deliver their work.
I mean, lifelong learning should be part of how we live, and I think you're such a great shining example of that, Ambe. Before we wrap up, there are some impromptu rapid fire questions that, if you don't mind, I will fire away at you. So are you ready? Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Face-to-face or virtual?
Face-to-face.
Same here. Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Read a book or watch a movie?
Ooh. Both.
Yeah. That was a tough one. Beach vacation or mountain retreat?
Beach.
What's your favorite food?
Sushi.
Wow, we're very similar. Dogs or cats?
None.
None? You're allergic?
I don't like pets.
Heels or sneakers?
Sneakers.
I've seen you in both.
Sneakers.
Sneakers, of course. Last but not least, who is your most iconic woman leader?
Like I said, it's a number of people. But okay, I'll name a few. Michelle Obama. I really look up to her in technology. Our CEO in Accenture, Julie Sweet. She is a lawyer by profession.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes, and she just taught herself. And so what I tell our employees is, if Julie can learn it, we all can learn it. And she's very, she's very forward-looking, and she knows the tech and the services that we deliver to our clients. So she's really a role model for learning and courage and confidence.
Oh, fabulous. This has been such a fun conversation. Ambe, thank you for allowing to be interviewed on our pilot episode of Promptly Speaking. It's been I've learned a few things that I didn't know before, and I'm sure our audience did too. So I want to thank you. So to our audience, let us thank Ambe Tierro, the country managing director and technology lead of Accenture in the Philippines, one of our valued platinum partners of IBPAP. So thank you very much, Ambe.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you. My pleasure. Woo!
Thank you for listening to Promptly Speaking. Stay tuned for more episodes in the weeks to come. Please follow us on our social media.
That's information technology and business process management. We are coders and programmers, agile animators, illustrators, auditors, analysts, from consultants to managers, nurturing nurses and doctors, data developers and testers, VA smiling CXRs and artificial intelligence engineers. Oh, wait, there's more. We are problem solvers and number crunchers. We speak in several languages, including Java, Python, Python, and so on. And on and on and on. We create heroes and villains. We gain experience and level up in life.
We are the IT-BPM industry, working with the Philippines. Join us.